SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Welcome back, Spartan Nation Radio. We now bring in the man, the legend, the myth, the way of life. He is the principal partner at SMD Law, the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. You can find him on the internet at smdalaw.com, 866-529-3537. When your next decision matters, you call them first, then you act. The great Jeff Michalowski. Jeff, I have to ask before we get into legal stuff, how jacked up were you when you saw that Michigan State offense on Saturday, even though it's against Western? Put it in perspective.
Well, I thought it was a good showing. What they did against Western that they didn't do against Tulsa was simply executed. You know, Hondo, I think we talked a little bit off there, and I said I wasn't all that upset by the offense. It just looked like they weren't executing throughout that Tulsa game. The play calling seemed pretty solid. And the strategy was there. It's just the players didn't execute. And coming out with a couple of backs that looked like they want the starting job and with some bursts of speed, man, it was impressive, wasn't it?
It was absolutely very impressive. All right, are you ready to go? I got some good ones.
I'm ready to roll.
Okay, the first one comes from Keith in Charlotte, Michigan. Dear Mr. Carpenter, in my class for school, we are studying different forms of law. And we thought it was very interesting when they started talking about, like, when drug companies put a drug to market and they find out it has side effects and people end up suing. My teacher said that old people used to try to put an insulation in their house that ended up causing problems. It was called alphabestos. I thought that was kind of funny. So I have a question, and my teacher said it would be great if we could ask an attorney, and I said that for the class I would email you. Could you ask Mr. Michalowski? They're saying that cell phone stuff that goes out of the cell phones that makes it work may eventually cause cancer. Is that eventually a lawsuit? If it does, it would seem to me, and I'm only a kid, but if they're telling us it may happen, why would they have cell phones? That's from Keith in Charlotte, Michigan.
Well, Keith, that's a tough one. A lot of times products go out there and the intended use of the product is kind of foreshadowed by some potential harm. And it's hard to dictate what things are going to do. Going back to your alphabestosis question, hey, asbestos was, I guess, going to be named the miracle substance. It could insulate. It could do everything, almost anything. But then they found that when the asbestos itself broke down and tiny fibers were released and people inhaled it, it caused some serious health issues. A lot of the things you really can't foresee what's going to happen. I guess if there's evidence about cell phones causing cancer, yes, then chances are it could become a lawsuit. If the manufacturer was grossly negligent or at least had reason to know that it would cause those problems, but time will tell. I think the latest product that you see in the news all the time are those vaping pens and vaping cigarettes and e-cigarettes, and what is the risk from those long term? You really don't know until a couple of years later. So who knows? Chances are there will be lawsuits if there is reason to believe those products could cause those issues.
Now, Jeff, I want to follow it up. So if the phone, we know that the cigarette manufacturers knew the problems with cigarettes. They lied. That's why they lost. But if you make a product that goes to market and there's an ancillary negativity, like let's say a cell phone, and you didn't know, does it seem right that people can still get billion-dollar settlements to you?
You know, that's a tough one, Hondo, because it's not just knowing, you know, did you know? It's could you foresee that this would happen? If there was any evidence, if there was a smoking memo that says, 1 out of 10 lab results show that this product can cause this issue, and you ignored it, then yeah, there's an issue. But overall, if you put a product out into commerce and it causes harm, that's what our legal system says is you're responsible for it.
That makes a lot of sense. We're talking to Jeff Michalowski from SMD Law, the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Remember, when your next decision matters, you call them first and then you act. SMDAlaw.com and 866-529-3537. Jeff answers your legal questions each and every week. Send me an email, Spartan Nation Mail, MAIL@yahoo.com. Put in the subject line question for Jeff, SMD Law, legal question, whatever, and we'll get to it. Jeff, the next one comes to us from Chris. Chris says, Dear Mr. Carpenter, had an interesting situation about a month ago in our family. We've got a new brother-in-law that everyone seems to like. He seems like a good guy. Our family does a lot of practical joking. We constantly do it. For example, when my sister came to my house the last time, she put soap in my toothbrush that was white so I would never notice it. Well, my brother-in-law was there, and we know he's afraid of clowns, so my sister put on a clown mask and went up behind him and scared him. Well, he had a mild heart attack. Now he tells our other sister he's thinking about suing us. I mean, it would seem that this is not something we would have to worry about. We're a family that's joked the entire time he's known us. Can you actually sue for someone scaring you in fun?
It could be a cause of action. It really depends on, what the link would be to him having the heart attack, and what the damages would be. There's a legal theory out there called the eggshell plaintiff. In other words, you take the plaintiff with whatever conditions or physical malformities that he or she may have, and if there was something you did and the person was in such a state, maybe his heart was weakened, maybe there is some kind of link that you knew he was deathly afraid of clowns, maybe there's a cause of action there. The question is, what are the damages, and are you directly responsible for something that could have happened from other factors? Ultimately, the preponderance of the evidence or burden of proof would be on the brother-in-law to prove that without a doubt it was that direct scaring that caused a heart attack, and not maybe the high cholesterol, the plate of wings, the plate of cheese nachos he had beforehand. Who knows? But in a court of law, if there is a causal link and something we call proximate cause, and we could show the chain of events that occurred, and that was the one link that caused it, and we could prove it through testimony and expert witnesses and all of this, then he could prevail. Is it an action if you go to court on? Maybe. Is it one that you'd want to pursue? Not until you looked at what his medical history was and everything else that was going on around it.
Oh, jeez. Okay, here I can't even fathom suing family, even family I don't like. That just.
I couldn't do it either. One of the most interesting cases I ever saw, Hondo, involved a gentleman that was standing on the back of his truck, and he was kind of raking out mulch while his wife was driving. She cut the wheel too hard, and he fell out, and the husband sued the wife, believe it or not.
Are you kidding me, Jeff?
No, that was a real case.
How did it ended up happen? What ended up? How did it?
Well, it ended up that it was a legal technicality, trying to trigger the health insurance component of the old auto insurance that they had, but damages weren't really there. In other words, we couldn't prove how hurt he was. It was just trying to trigger the medical pay provision of the auto insurance benefit. So he ended up kind of prevailing. The husband and wife weren't malicious, weren't angry with each other. It was just something that had to be done to try and trigger some of the no-fault benefits at the time.
Wow. All right, here comes the next one I thought was pretty interesting. It's from Chris. This is another Chris. This one's spelled with a K. Chris says, Hondo, my mom and dad are going through a divorce, and I'm concerned because I don't want to be put in the middle. Will the judge ask me what I want to do and live? Does that even matter? That's Chris. And Chris has asked us not to use the city, but Chris is 13 years old.
Well, in the custody portion of it, it's presumed to be as equal and fair custody as possible. It doesn't always work that way. One parent ends up with a few more overnights than the other. But a lot of times, if it's a heated custody dispute and you're of what we call an objective age, that the court believes you have a right to say where you want to stay, then the judge could sit down with you in his private chambers or his office and talk to you a little bit and get a feel for which parent you'd like to stay with. That really isn't done a whole lot because they don't like to put the kid or child on the spot, but it can be used in a custody determination. Otherwise, more than likely, the court is going to use a default parenting time schedule that almost every county has set up within its family court, and try and make sure that you get enough time with both mom and dad.
He is the great Jeff Michalowski from SMD Law. Remember this, when your next decision matters, you call them first, then you act. smdalaw.com. On the internet, 866-529-3537.